So, if you're someone like me and you do creative work, whether it be video editing, writing, just creating traditional art, whatever it may be, you've almost definitely faced the challenge of balancing perfection or perfectionism with progress. And it happens so often to myself because I so often have this big thing I want to create and I want to make loads of progress, I want to be effective, but then I start getting into the details, I start getting caught up in the details and end up making very little progress. That is at least what happened to me yesterday. I was working on a little section of my video near the beginning, and of course the beginning is the most important part, but I was focusing on little details like the font specifically, and I was getting really bogged down by it when I hadn't even finished the rest of my video to even a half decent state or level. And then later on, when I was walking to the gym, I reflected on that and I came up with a 3-step process or framework to overcoming this whole entire problem of perfectionism and trying to make progress but getting bogged down by the details or in the details. And I'm just going to share the 3 steps with you since I've just come up with this, and it's I might make a video on my main channel about this, but I'll share it with you here right now. So step 0 is the preparation phase, and for me, video editing as an example, because that's what I'm doing currently, that step will entail just trimming the video, so removing dead space specifically, and also making a list of all the edits I actually want to make, just like here. And this, of course, if you're writing, that may differ, but whatever it may be in what you're doing, just actually prepare so you're not, so you're ready to do your creative work, right? Obviously, if you're writing, you may not need to do so much, but nonetheless, at least remove distractions. That's a form of preparation, right? Now, onto the main actual process. So, step 1 is the first draft. So, with the first step, you do not worry about making anything good. You just focus on making sure it's there. Just there. Not even good, but just there. So, for example, when I have an edit, like I want to put text on the screen to illustrate something, I'm not going to bother with the shape, the font, the angle, the color, nothing. I will just type it on the screen and leave it there. Just, that's it. And the whole point of this is to start building momentum. So, if, as another example, you're showing an image to illustrate something else, just plonk the image on there and then just leave it. Don't worry about the transition or making it fade in smoothly yet. Just make sure it's there. So the whole point of this is just to create a first draft. That's it. Then step 2 is what I call the MVV. So this is inspired by MVP, which is minimum viable product, which I'm pretty sure is originally from Peter Drucker. Sorry, not Peter Drucker, Eric Ries, who made the Lean Startup. I'm looking over there because I have my books over there. I'm pretty sure that he originally came up with it. Maybe not. Maybe he just popularized it. But nonetheless, MVP stands for minimum viable product. And in business, the whole point of an MVP is instead of trying to perfect an untested product, you launch and you test and iterate and improve until you near perfection. And perfection isn't possible anyway, but by constantly improving your thing, you catch excellence in the progress, right? So your thing may never be perfect, but it will be great. It will be excellent. It will be incredible. And the whole point of launching early instead of trying to perfect an untested product is because actually it's funny how I have the book, because this just came, The Origins of Species by Charles Darwin here. But if you look at nature, literally how we came to be alive, of course, is through evolution, Darwin explains. But if you look at nature, the process of natural selection was, I don't want to use too fancy words, but I'll just say it was such that essentially the weak would die out, right? The ones who couldn't adapt, they would die out, and the strong would live on, of course. But that's technically a kind of feedback loop to nature, because of course nature doesn't decide, okay, this species has just died out, so it was weak, or I'm just gonna leave it behind because it's just dead, right? Can't decide to change that, right? But in real life for us, the point is that we create a feedback loop. When something fails, instead of it dying, we have the ability to look at that thing and think, why did this fail? And then when we get to the root cause, we can create a solution for that thing, right? So I know I went off on a tangent there, and I may not have explained it incredibly well, unfortunately, because this is something I just learned recently. I'll work on it next time. But the whole point I was trying to make there is that if you just launch early an MVP, your product, then you allow yourself to have a feedback loop, right? Your product will probably almost definitely not be good from the beginning, but you at least get the opportunity to improve it now. So, sorry for that big tangent, but in your creative process, an MVV is a minimum viable version. So that tangent was probably unnecessary, but the step 2 is MVV, minimum viable version, and there you make sure it's good enough, right? So just like with an MVP, a minimum viable product, you make sure it's good enough, and then you launch and you improve it to make sure then eventually it becomes excellent. With an MVV version of what you're creating, you create something that's good enough but still not perfect, right? Because if you were to focus on making it perfect in that stage, you already know what would happen, right? You would get bogged down by the details. So you just try and make it good, but nothing more. Just get it okay, decent. And then stage 3 is when you perfect everything. And by perfect, I don't mean actual perfection, because of course, once again, it's not possible. But you make sure it's not just good, but great. Not just decent, but excellent. Not just okay, but incredible. You get the point. So by doing this, and by then knowing that, okay, well, this is the first step, I'm only meant to create a first draft here, no need to focus on the details, then you will still, you'll have in the back of your mind that, okay, well, I want to create this thing to make it perfect. There's these little details I want to add because it will make it perfect and incredible. But it's okay, I'll get round to that. First, I have to create a first draft, then an MVV, minimum viable version, and then the final product. So that's a summary of the 3-step process. It's super, super simple. Now that I've given you that, I just showed you one of the books that came today, The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. I just got this. And I also got Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. And I got these 2 books specifically because the stage of my journey that I'm at, this will really help me with growing my brand and growing my brand and business through storytelling and essentially making impact and money. Because as an ENFJ, chasing money on its own is very shallow for me. So I love the whole idea of creating a like a tribe or a mass movement or just a big audience of people who truly believe in your thing, because I truly believe in what I do and what I'm creating. And I've learned that cold hard facts don't really resonate with people, and just pure logic doesn't really resonate with people. Whereas when you just share your story authentically, which once again is supposedly a superpower of mine as an ENFJ, so I need to lean into it. When you share stories, you allow people to have that same epiphany, and they actually feel some emotion, right? Unlike with logic or fact. You can use logic or facts to back up what you say, but don't rely on them, because we as humans are fundamentally emotional and irrational creatures. So if we want to inspire action, then logic does not speak to the right part of the brain, it speaks to the neocortex, but it's the limbic brain that makes us take action. And the reason for that is because the limbic brain is responsible for feelings and emotions. And if we look at where the word emotion comes from, it comes from the Latin motere, which actually means to move. Or maybe, sorry, it's movere. There we go. I made the mistake last time. It's a slight difference, whatever. Which means to move. So it's emotions that actually make us move. And stories evoke emotions, unlike logic and fact. So, yeah, that's that. And then on the origin of species, I'm going to be building a course inside of my free community, Know Yourself. It's called Know Yourself. I'm not telling you to know yourself, but I would be wise to say that nonetheless. But yes, I'm going to be creating I'm going to be creating modules on what makes us the way we are, because that's of course a big part of knowing yourself. And I've actually come up with a 3-level. I've not actually come up with a name for this, but essentially the 3 levels of what makes people who they are. And the first level is our biology, the second, our nature, and the third, nurture. So biology is the universal biology that applies to all humans. For example, the thing I just told you about, that all humans are emotional and rational creatures fundamentally. 2, nature, that's your genetic strengths, abilities, qualities, what makes you different than from other people, and specifically the things you were born with that make you different. And then 3, nurture, those are the things that have happened since you were born, so that have changed you in the way you are. So your environment, social, societal, whatever conditions, passions that you've developed, experiences, things like that. And yeah, I cannot wait. But I'm gonna leave it there before this video gets too long. Just a quick reflection, and just wanted to document, as usual, this part of my journey while sharing some value with you. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I wish you all the best. Keep going and never ever stop, because just know that if you are going through a dark time, good times are coming. And I say that just because I've been reflecting a lot lately on the initial part of my journey, which was really tough, and especially mentally. I've said this before, I just really felt like I was in a really, really dark place. And now finally I'm doing what I love. I love my work and I feel energized by it, and finally I know this is how I'm going to create impact and money. And I'm so grateful for it. But before I finish off, I recently had, I know this isn't terribly good, I'm just sitting here in the corner. Not the best angle, but nonetheless, I had my room changed or done up, and it's really nice and pleasant to work in now. So that's even better. But yes, I'll leave it there. All the best. Go chase your dreams. Ciao.